Vivek Ramaswamy is a professional at detailing the most logical positions and arguments in terms of complex issues, and today he delivered a great position for abortion that I think a lot of people could get behind, since abortion is such a losing issue for Republicans. Now, obviously for me, I am about as pro-life as you can think, with exception for the life of the mother. The term abortion has been so skewed into Democrats' brains that they only judge it as a fundamental female right, and any slight disagreement makes you a complete sexist. So because being a sexist is bad, they assume anti-abortion is bad. I disagree with that premise. I think it's more pro-women to be pro-life, because in most cases, not all obviously, it's Democrats saying the child is a burden, or I'm not ready, or I don't want this to be the father. But to say a female isn't ready or is incapable of raising a child, I feel is more anti-feminist. Also, when talking about abortion, I think Republicans need to start using more graphic terms so everyone actually understands what goes on in an abortion, such as ripping a baby limb from limb, right leg, left leg, gut, right arm, left arm. There's no room for the head, so the skull needs to get crushed, and white liquid will then pour out as soon as it gets crushed, and then you're left with a heated mess. Like, that obviously makes abortion sound a lot worse. But anyways, so Vivek Ramaswamy's main argument for a bipartisan pro-life stance is to require the man at the woman's discretion to be the principal sole party responsible for raising that child. And this could prevent men from leaving the child's life and then not putting all the responsibility on just the woman. That seems the most fair. It takes two to tango, and if we want to remove men versus women equation, everything has to be fair.
I think that the pro-life movement, and I consider myself part of that, hasn't done enough to walk the walk in actually standing for life and pro-life principles. I want to talk about more expansive policies of ease of access to adoption, to child care. And I, for one, I think I'm alone in the GOP on this, but I hope more embrace it. As a man, I will say this. We need to codify sexual responsibility into the law to say that if a woman brings a child to term, she should, at her option, be able to make the man the principal caretaker financially responsible for raising that child if it's confirmed by a genetic paternity test. I think that's how we're able to unite the country at least as best we can on this issue, to say it's not about men's rights or women's rights. It's about human rights. In the case of a pregnant woman who was assaulted when the unborn child died, I haven't met one person, left or right, who says that that criminal doesn't deserve liability for that death. That says we share these pro-life instincts in common, and I want us to do better as Republicans to actually stand for those life principles than we have done today. The pro-life views that I support are no federal funding for Planned Parenthood. Our taxpayers dollars shouldn't be going to fund Planned Parenthood. I think we need to stand for life in the form of access to adoption, access to child care. I think we can have a legitimate bipartisan discussion about that. And I favor a policy that says this should not be borne exclusively by women. It's wrong. I think men should share in this responsibility equally, or at least as equally as we can. I think the woman, if it's confirmed by a genetic paternity test, should legally be able to make the man the sole responsible party for raising that child, which will force men to take responsibility for their sexual decisions on the front end, not just putting this on women.
You see how it just seems like the most logical position to have on abortion? There's another point that I want to bring up. Take a look at the numbers in accordance with race of single-parent households. African Americans in 2022 were 64% and whites were 24%. The media wants to make the claim the system is racist against minority groups, but the fact that single-parent rate is so high, is that a system issue or more of a cultural issue? Still don't think it's cultural. The abortion rate for black women is almost 5 times higher than white women. I think it's pretty obvious if men and women have legally shared responsibility when a child comes to term, it would prevent abortions and prevent single-parent households, therefore put African Americans on the right track from an income race equality perspective. Because there's a reason that the murder rate of blacks versus whites is so much higher. It's a family issue.